All right, and welcome into the Fantasy Pros NFL Draft Show. We are just 2 weeks away from the sports world turning its attention to Green Bay, Wisconsin, and we're talking sleepers. That's right, our favorite day 3 projected rookies who could make an impact in your Dynasty Fantasy Football League. I'm your host, Seth Woolcock, and today I'm joined by a man who believes that Draft Day is a better NFL draft movie than Jerry Maguire. Noted Tom Cruise hater, Derek Brown, a.k.a. D-Bro. What's going on today, pal? What's with the TC hate?
I love that you started it off with that. And just for everybody out there, I don't think Draft Day is an immaculate movie. I just think it's better than Jerry Maguire. And I love the quotables out of Jerry Maguire.
Right.
But the whole totality of that movie, you can kind of miss me with a lot of.
I don't know what's more quotable. Show me the money, or did anybody go to his birthday party, or the no matter what post note, or memes, give me David goddamn Putney. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of quotables in.
I like a lot of the quotables about pancakes. We're trying to keep it G-rated, so I won't give the full quote, but everybody knows where I'm at.
I will say, man, like the little kid, there's some tear jerking going on there, Jerry Maguire. That I don't think Draft Day moves the needle quite that way, but maybe a guy who has some more opinions on that, who we're joined by today, the creator of the Film Room, co-host of the Bootleg Football Podcast, Catching That California Sun, Brett Kollmann. Good morning, Brett. Thanks so much for joining us today. Your thoughts on this debate that's kind of taken over my little internet world here, Draft Day versus Jerry Maguire.
I love Draft Day. I watch it every single year on draft week. Usually like the Tuesday or the Wednesday of draft week, to kind of get me excited. And yes, it's unrealistic. And yes, it's cheesy. And yes, I eat it up every single time because it's the only true movie we have about this process that we throw ourselves into every single year. And, we take what we get.
Absolutely. Before we get going, I just wanted to shout out everyone who's been hanging out with us each week leading up to the NFL draft. Whether that's here on the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel or the podcast feed, we greatly appreciate it. As always, please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy this type of content. Also, subscribe to the channel if you're new. We're trying to get to 300,000 subscribers before the NFL season starts, so we need your help to do that. And all right, guys, let's go ahead. Let's jump right into the NFL draft sleeper, starting with Brett, who you have a Big 12 receiver on deck for us. Who do you got at the top here, Brett?
Savion Williams from TCU. And he is all over the place, I think, for everybody. Because some people see him purely as a running back. Some people see him as like a big slot. Some people see him as like this Debo type hybrid-ish, where it's like, yeah, he's a receiver that we also give running back snaps to. I am of the opinion that he is either going to be one of the most effective weapons taken in this class, or somebody who gets probably like Velus Jones amounts of touches, depending on where he goes, right? Like, let's say Savion goes to Miami with Mike McDaniel to be like that almost Debo-ish type guy for them. I think that's a home run. I think he'd be tremendous there. If he goes to a team that will not use him like that, then I'm not really sure if I would even touch him at all, like for fantasy purposes, right? Like I need to have faith that his future coach has a plan for him to give him schemed up touches. That is not to say that he can't do other things too. Fun fact, on catchable targets deep down the field, he had a contested catch rate of over 85%. So he does actually have a pretty beefy contested catch profile to him. He's a big receiver as well. He did have a little bit of the dropsies early on in the year, but keep in mind 3 of those were in one game and they were all consecutive touches early on in the season. And then he kind of got his act together and he was totally fine catching the ball. So I look at him and I see somebody who immediately can contribute as an ultra explosive, big, with a capital B, versatile weapon that can line up in the backfield, that can line up in the slot. We could do the sweep stuff. We could do the screen game stuff. And also, by the way, he can win the ball down the field too. Again, he's got to go to the right place that I think has a coach that has an imagination. But if he goes to that right place, like we could be looking at a day 3 receiver that ends up being a massive contributor to his offense.
Yeah, Debro, we've talked a lot about Savion Williams on this particular program throughout the offseason. Sonny Dykes like to really play this guy all over the field, out wide, in the slot, in the backfield, even as a Wildcat quarterback at times. Had a pretty decent combine. He's 6'4", 222 pounds, ran a 4.48 second 40 time as well. But he does have that gadget player label, and I think that's your biggest concern with Savion Williams. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's my concern. And I know we were talking before we kind of turned the mics and the cams on before, just powwowing before the show and stuff like that. My problem with Savion Williams is just the access to all 22 that I had and breaking down his game. And I don't want to make sweeping judgments about a player when I'm not able to watch like a large swath of games on him. Like most of the games that I got was just, all the manufactured touch stuff, the running back stuff, the Wildcat stuff and things like that. So looking at how he is as a traditional wide receiver, I know we've had Brett Whitefield on the show. He was high on Savion and his transition and what that skill set looks like. So for me with Savion, I'm right with Brett. I think he's a fantastic chess piece. But how many times have we seen guys where these guys, this archetype of player, the Laviska Chenaults of the world, the Cordell Pattersons of the world, they go into the NFL and the NFL is like, we like him. We don't know what the hell to do with him.
You mean Hall of Famer Cordell Patterson to you?
Yes.
Fair.
Have you looked at his resume, by the way?
His resume is actually quietly like...
That's Hall of Fame,
strong,
folks.
Dude.
Oh,
it's pretty strong, dude.
Hold on, I'm gonna read it off because every time he gets mentioned, I bring this up.
Please.
Okay, so just blanket statement. If you saw this resume, Hall of Famer, yes or no? Super Bowl champion, 4-time first-team All-Pro, 3-time second-team All-Pro, 4-time Pro Bowler, 2-time NFL kickoff yards return leader, all-decade team for the 2010s.
Oh, wow.
Hall of Famer or not? Sounds like Hall of Fame to me.
It's Hall worthy, bro. It is. And I think that would surprise a lot of people because they hear the name and they automatically want to put the bust label on him because he wasn't a traditional or hasn't been a traditional wide receiver and things like that. But I think like we're all talking about Savion. The talent is there. Like you put the ball in his hands and he's going to make some magic happen. That's not the question I think anybody has, but it's where does he go? And we need a good offensive play caller that's going to. I'll throw another one out for you, Brett. Because you kind of mentioned the Shanahan tree, so there's a bunch of teams in that we could talk about. What do you think if he would go to, because Debo's only got the 1 year of money in Washington. What if he goes to the Commanders and we get Cliff Kingsbury just saying, all right, bro, like we can get somebody else on the outside to stretch the field. We got Terry and we got Debo. Here's our heir apparent to Debo, and we're just going to feed him manufactured touches and make it easy for JD5. That, to me, you want to talk about a team that's going to use him the way he needs to be used, and he probably gets some running back stuff too. That would make me extremely happy for what his NFL outlook would be.
Also, again, I bring up the contested catch percentage on catchable balls.
Right.
It wasn't always catchable at TCU.
Yeah.
But when the ball's catchable, contested, over 85%. I think it was like 87 to be exact. You know who throws catchable balls deep down the field really well? Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
So, it fits pretty well.
Yep. Be a great fit, man. And I don't even care, again, we're talking about Savion, he's not going to probably go in round 2. So I think people need to also kind of throw the draft capital.
Right.
Not saying don't invest, but again, this archetype, you're probably a team would have to love him probably to take him in the 3rd round. He's probably going to end up at the top of day 3. So really it's then we need to really talk about, again, we're centering and framing this conversation, landing spot.
Yep.
Him getting on the field and getting used in the way that is going to highlight the best parts of his game, while we want that for every rookie, while also saying we're going to use you in the best way we can, but it's also going to cover up some of the things you might not do as well right now.
And the cool thing about Savion, man, is he's going to be going with this class being so deep at running back, at tight end. People are going to be taking their shots on these day 2, day 3 quarterbacks, probably in the 3rd, 4th round of rookie drafts. You can probably get Savion Williams in round 4 of your rookie draft in a super flex format. So interesting prospect there to discuss. Derek, keep us in this wide receiver position with your first sleeper of the day.
Dude, there's a lot of players that Brett and I talk about in DMs and texts and stuff like that. We have not talked about this guy, so I'm curious about where he sits. And it's always fun every prospect season when you get to a player that maybe hasn't been talked about a ton. Yeah. And once you get to their film and you're starting to look at their analytical profile, you're just like, oh, oh. That's exactly how I felt the entire time when I got to Elijah Badger.
Okay.
And looking at his overall skill set, there's a few different parts of pieces to him, man. And he's just a fascinating player. Like, if you look at what he did at Arizona State, again, in not the Savion Williams role, but basically the manufactured kind of like underneath, like touch role, where it's like, put the ball in his freaking hands, ask him to go out there and just manhandle fools like after the catch. That's what Badger did in 2022 and 2023. Like, to put context to this, he was in 2022 amongst all wide receivers, 3rd in missed tackles forced. 2023, 13th in yak per reception, 7th in missed tackles forced. So you're like, okay, this is a really interesting skill set. So, okay, well, that's the kind of role maybe he plays in the NFL. Then he transfers to Florida for his final season in college. And Florida, which, dude, I'm sorry, Mertz is not a good quarterback.
Nope.
Good Lord.
You don't need to apologize to anyone to say that.
I'm apologizing for the Florida fans out that are arriving to this, and they're like, oh, yeah, it's Badger season, baby. The quarterbacks there are not it. There's tons of times on his film where
Lagway's sick.
Yeah.
Lagway's great.
Yes, he's good. He's good. This is more of a Mertz conversation about Mertz being not great. So, but this is all to say, when he goes to Florida, did he play the same role he played at Arizona State? No. Florida said, oh, well, you're really, really good at that. Let's just pigeonhole you as a deep threat. Let's put you in a downfield role. When we got a questionable quarterback, can he even lace those throws down the field? But it'll work out. And Badger succeeded in that role, man. Like, again, his final season in college, 14th in yards per route run, top 15 in both receiving grade and yards per route run against man coverage. And you're telling me, I know he tested well at the combine. I know the 4.4 speed. That's not how I think he plays. I think he's more of a 4.5 player on the field. But because you see it, like, he's got enough speed to get downtown. He doesn't have the elite third gear to absolutely just take it to the house 70, 80 yards. But he excelled in a downfield role. And I think if Elijah Badger would have gone to a place with consistently better quarterback play and honestly an offensive staff that was going to use him to the best of his abilities, use him in the underneath role as well as and mix in some of the downfield stuff. I love this kid, man. Like, he tested well. He already showed you both sides of the coin about his ability and how he can translate to the NFL. I mean, dude, I'm extremely high on him. Like, I don't know anybody that's like right now. And this is not just me trying to be like over the moon for this kid. I've got him as my wide receiver 9 of the class right now. I really like Elijah Badger. But Brett, your thoughts? Am I insane?
No, you're really not. I can't recall the last time I saw a prospect go from an average depth of target in 1 year of 7.7 to 17.3 the next season.
Yep.
Like, we're talking about over 20 yards of reception here for him. Also, fun fact, has 2 drops in the last 2 seasons combined, and neither of them came in 2024.
Both of them were concentration drops too, by the way.
Both of them were concentration drops.
Not his hands.
And to have an average depth of target over 17 yards and no drops the entire year is nuts. Like, that is pretty nuts. Strong contested catcher. Again, does he play to his speed? I think he's more smooth than explosive.
Agreed.
So I almost feel like it's deceptive. But I remember, so when I was down on the field at the combine, and I mean, you guys, when you go to the Senior Bowl, you know this too. And when you're watching combine drills, you know this too. When you see guys back to back to back live with your own eyes, I almost feel like cameras can lie to you a little bit. Like, everybody says, oh, the eye in sky doesn't lie. Cameras can lie a little bit. Like, sometimes frame rates just make guys look like they're moving different than they actually are. Like, I think it's valuable to look at how the ball comes off a quarterback's hands with your own eyes, just because I think the camera can, it does make it look a little bit different. And not to go on a tangent here, but I remember when I saw Trey Lance throw on tape and I was like, oh, he's got a hose. And then I went to Niners camp and I saw Trey Lance throw in person. I was like, he really doesn't. And Brock Purdy threw just a better ball.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking at the time when Purdy was QB4, I was like, he's kind of the best one here. And he was. And so I think it's valuable to kind of see guys with your own eyes and see how they move in person, because it just looks different than when it's on camera. All that to say, when I was watching all these receivers go through drills back to back to back, I kept looking up and I was like, this Badger kid, he's moving really, really well. Both the Florida kids, honestly. I like DK too.
Okay.
And I hadn't actually watched them on film yet, but I took that experience seeing how they move with my own eyes, and then I watched them on film, and I just didn't really find anything I didn't like about him. Like, I think he could very easily be a starting 2 in the league.
Wow.
Probably start out as a 3, but eventually get to a 2. And he kind of reminds me, you remember DeVere Posey?
Ooh, that's a deep pull.
I don't even know if I...
Pre-injury DeVere Posey.
Yeah, it's a deep pull. I like it.
He kind of reminds me of him.
Dude, he was a hard player for me to comp, man, because it's like his fluidity, but he's more of a linear athlete. I agree with you, all that. But his play strength, that's the hard part of like his size. Like he's rocked up. Again, like seeing players in person and seeing their body composition is huge too. Like I've seen some people talk about it. He looks more slight. I'm like, there ain't nothing slight about this dude. There ain't nothing slight about the way he plays. Like the play strength shows up throughout his game. So like I had a hard time comping him, man.
And I think Posey went in like the 3rd round. So like he could very easily go in that range and be a 3 or be a 2. Like tell me that he wouldn't fit in immediately, like competing for number 3 snaps in LA with the Rams.
Dude, you're reading off my sheet. You know who I tried to nerf this as much, but I found a lot of similarities in his game, especially with his body control on the perimeter, the way that he wins, and his physicality after the catch and at the top of his stems. I mean, I'm going to say this name, and I swear I don't want anybody going over the moon for this, but because I'm trying to nerf this in expectations. My comp in my write-up is he's great value brand Puka.
And people will immediately see that.
They're going to, they'll take it the wrong way, man.
But if we're talking about stylistic comps. Not necessarily like he's going to go out and get 1,500 yards.
I'm not saying that, but this kid could freaking play, man. And I think he's going to go higher in the NFL draft than people think.
When I think the interesting thing about him is that like he should probably have stayed put at Arizona State if he knew Sam Leavitt was the quarterback that we came to know and love out there.
I don't think ASU even knew that Leavitt was
No. I don't think anybody did. And like, I agree that I don't think anyone loved Graham Mertz, whether it was his time at Wisconsin, his time as the Gators starting quarterback. And it felt like this offense, this team finally started gelling when DJ Lagway got under center. He then had that hamstring injury, gets carted off. So kind of just an up and down season for Badger and this entire Gator team. But like when he was there in Tempe, he paced top 10 in the Pac-12 in receptions both those seasons. And then, like you guys said, just became kind of a deep threat, finished 6th in the country in yards per reception, over 20 yards. So Badger, very, very interesting prospect. I'm glad you guys brought him up because I haven't heard anyone talk about him this entire offseason. So good pull from you guys there. Before we keep it moving, if you want a chance to win a signed DeAndre Swift Bears jersey for free, courtesy of our friends over at pristineauction.com, all you have to do is subscribe to the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel right now. Drop a comment below on any Fantasy Pros Dynasty podcast video, and that's it. We will announce a winner right here on the podcast, so make sure you turn on those notifications so you can be alerted when new videos are up and to claim your prize if you are that lucky winner. Brett, let's get to your next sleeper, a running back who was catching some serious buzz early in the process, but has seemingly cold as of late.
Woody Marks from USC. To me, he is this year's James White. I know a lot of people say, he's this year's Bucky Irving. I don't necessarily see the same contact balance that I saw from Bucky Irving when Irving was in college. And I also think he's a better receiver than Bucky Irving was in college. Not that Bucky couldn't catch, obviously.
Right.
But I think people just see like small running back and they're like, that's Bucky Irving. And it's like, no, to me, it's a different skill set, a different profile. Like he is going to be a 3rd down back in the NFL. But he's going to be an exceptional one, I should say. Again, I think the James White type receiving skill, like you want to call him Captain Choice route, fine, but he's going to be really good at it. Right. He can work down the field as well. He's got excellent hands. I think he could pass protect. And if you want to go into no huddle and give him some carries, like he can give you some carries too. It's not that he's incapable of running the ball in early downs like a Theo Riddick. Like I think he could do the Theo Riddick stuff and also, carry it a little bit for you. Just if we're looking at like the spectrum of small running backs where it's like Bucky Irving's on one side and Woody Marker and James White's on the other, like I think he's further on the James White side, but
okay.
It's not that he can't do actual running with the ball.
Yeah, I found Woody a really, really enticing prospect because you look back at his time at Mississippi State, he had 214 receptions in 4 seasons. That's 8th all-time in the SEC in career receptions among all positions. I mean, this guy was catching a ton of passes out there. And then he goes out to USC. And as you said, Brett, like a better runner than I think a lot of people give credit for because he did finish 4th in the Big Ten in rushing yards. And I think everyone knows like that USC offensive line compared to the rest of the Big Ten was absolute garbage. So goes out, has a 9.87 RAS at the combine as well. So, D-Bro, have you dug into Marks at all? And if so, do you have any thoughts on the 24-year-old?
Yeah, I agree with Brett. I think that his role in the NFL is going to be as a receiving back. I mean, we're discussing Woody Marks in 3 of the last 4 seasons, top 26 in receiving grade amongst all FBS running backs with at least 20 targets. So the chops are there, and USC used him in a few different ways, man. Like it was nothing to see them split him out wide, asking him to run stop routes, curls, and things, and get a little bit of the perimeter route tree out there. So again, Woody Marks, future New England Patriot, book it.
I mean, I wouldn't hate it pairing him with
Josh
Ramondre.
McDaniels is probably like, all right,
yeah.
When we get to the 5th round, we're just gonna select Woody Marks. Let's go.
R.I.P. Antonio Gibson, if that is the case. But yeah, D-Bro, take us to your next sleeper. It's a receiver that we talked about a couple weeks ago in our wide receivers 11 through 20 show.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, again, kicking this off with 2 wide receivers in this conversation and what has been discussed as a bad or a down wide receiver class. So, taking my shots here. But Tory Horton, man, this kid can play. I really like his film. Numerous different ways he pops, both from the numbers perspective. I mean, unfortunately, in his final collegiate season, limited only 6 games with a knee injury, but 3.45 yards per route run. Yeah, that'll play. As well as a player that it's not only just that season, but like you're looking at his overall game. He could break some tackles. 2023, he was 16th in missed tackles forced. I like the kid. Like, I don't think he's going to be, I think if you're looking at NFL type of projections, I think you're looking at like a low end 2, probably a high end like wide receiver 3 for an NFL offense. Very much in the Michael Gallup, Marvin Jones-esque kind of play strength, get him vertical, more of like a clasher, but can separate some. Because I think like there are some drawbacks to his game. Like his hips are a little bit tight, but he's got quick enough feet to kind of compensate for that. So you're not going to ask him to run a ton of, as far as the route tree, where he's having to drop his hips, deaccelerate that way. You're probably going to try to get him moving laterally, get him up on 9 routes, or just get him to turn around and run hitches and stuff. But again, a player that I like, he probably got to go somewhere in the 3rd, 4th round of the NFL draft. And I think he's going to be a very productive NFL wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, coming into the season, this guy was a top 100 rated player. And I think if he doesn't get hurt, there's a chance we're talking about him not in our sleeper show, but maybe in our wide receiver 1 through 10 show. And I really like that, comes from Nevada, kind of stays in that Mountain West area out there when he transferred to Colorado State, and ultimately finishes with the 3rd most receptions, 4th most receiving yards, and 7th most receiving touchdowns all time in the Mountain West. So really liked what he did there. And then he goes and gets back for the combine and has a really nice showing out there as well, Brett. 9.7 one RAS score for him.
I really have struggled with Tory because he tested faster than I thought he played.
Same.
You know?
Yep.
And like even go back to 2023, because I kind of threw out 2024 with him. I just looked at 2023.
Okay.
Because the Colorado State team was better in that year. So I felt like it was a better representation of like, what does it look like when he's not like the only guy and, the overall team is better. He doesn't have to put it, and also he was healthier. And, I saw 6'2", 200, 441, and I was like, really? In my head, I had him more in like that Jacoby Myers type mold where it's just all about just being in the right spot at the right time. Not necessarily having the physical ability to separate against NFL caliber athletes at corner, but separate deep down the field. I just didn't see that time, but it also it doesn't mean he's not a good player. And I think we can sometimes get lost in the testing numbers or get lost in the tape and forget that the other side of the coin exists. And I think the truth is somewhere in the middle when it comes to him in terms of how he plays versus how he tested. And I think you have to kind of find that middle ground with him and realize that, yeah, he's probably going to be like a number 3 in the NFL. His superpower is just being in the right spot at the right time and kind of, taking advantage of zone coverages because he's a really smart player. He has a really great understanding of space. I don't expect him to be like a separator against man. Like, he is truly going to be like a possession number 3. He's going to catch 4 balls for us a game, and they're all going to be for first downs. And then when we needed to take a shot, we're going to bring in somebody else. And I don't really care that he ran 4.41 because he doesn't play like it. Like, if I want to take a shot, I'm going to bring in like Troy Franklin and hope to God he catches it. But like, I'm not going to make Tory Horton do that for me.
Yeah. I agree, Brett. Like, I was surprised with the 4.4. Like, again, like, and kind of in the air that I was talking about his game, like, I don't see that on the field. I don't think that he even has that type of explosiveness and fluidity. I agree that I think he's gonna be a possession guy. Like, and it's funny, when we're breaking down film before we get the combine testing, because I'm like, there's so many guys where it's like you get the confirmation of your eyes, or you're like, okay. I mean, like I was discussing earlier, it's like, he doesn't play that way. Like, it's fine. Like, and some guys were, we're having conversations of, did you drop weight, or, did you run fast? Like, how did that go? Or are you a better track athlete? Like the guys that have track backgrounds or the guys that don't have track backgrounds. So they're just like, they just don't run a great 40, I mean, so a lot of different ways to break it down, but I emphatically agree with you. I think he's going to be a possession guy. I think the strength at the catch point and the play strength for him is going to have to play up at the NFL level, because I agree. I don't think he's going to be a fantastic separator, but I do think he has enough upper body strength to win, versus man and press. It just kind of depends on what you're asking out of him.
Yeah, and there's one more note I want to give to your audience specifically, because I know that some of them are like just getting into this right now because they got their dynasty drafts in like 3 weeks and they're like, oh God, I need to know. So when you're looking at athletic testing, specifically like just 40s and shuttles and everything like that, you have to understand that the NFL teams aren't really using those. They're using their own numbers because they take their own 40 times. And also, the agilities that are done at the combine are done after their workouts, which is why a lot of guys don't even do them anymore because they're already gassed in the workout. And then they go to the pro day setting and they'll do their agilities there, which again, the teams are just using their own times for those. They're not using the officials. So the times themselves, I don't want to say they don't matter, but they matter less than the chip data. So if you go to a website called Combine IQ, they've done this the last like 3 or 4 years. They have chips in like the combine gear that the players wear. And so they track their speeds during the drills, doing the actual football stuff. That is what teams care about way more. So we talk about like the gauntlet drill. Everybody's like, what's the point of the gauntlet drill? Because you're just running in a line and catching the ball and you're dropping it immediately. Like, what does that show? The gauntlet drill is specifically to show if you can run a crossing route at top speed, turn your head late, locate the ball when it's in the air, and catch it while staying on a line. Because the crossing route, if we're talking about actual football, is you're reading the position of the safeties and the linebackers, and you're setting your depth and then turning your head to the quarterback. So you have to be able to set your depth before you're kind of on that line, and then hold the depth that you're trying to get to without drifting into the safety, without drifting into a hand corner, without drifting into a linebacker, and also be able to look and turn and find the ball in traffic and pluck it in traffic and everything like that, and do that at top speed. And so when you're looking at the chip data, like you'll see guys that are way high up on the gauntlet drill that are excellent at that route, like say Chimp DK from Florida, who got 75% of his production on deep crosses because he's really good at it. That in itself is a skill set. Or Jimmy Horn Jr., who ran it at top speed. Then you look at guys like Luther Burden, and I remember on the field when I was watching the gauntlet drill, I was like, God, he just looks like he's loafing it. And he was like bottom 5 in terms of speed through the gauntlet drill. And some people say, like, I don't care if he ran it slow. I just want to see him catch the ball. Like, no, the point is to run that at top speed. You need to show you can do football stuff at top speed. This is my way of just shoehorning Luther into the show. I didn't like him during the drills because he did everything slow.
Join the club, baby.
Oh
this
my God.
This is a safe space, Brett. This is an anti-Luther Burden show, so you're in a safe space here.
And I was just watching all these guys that are like hauling ass through the drills and like doing football stuff at top speed. And here's Luther just kind of like, oh my God, Jalen Nolan.
Allergies.
Awesome.
My bad. Sorry.
He's incredible. And whereas Luther, I'm like, you're going 16 miles an hour for the gauntlet drill. Like that doesn't tell me anything. Like so again, that's the point of the combine drills, especially the chip data. All that to say, time speed for a guy like Horton, it doesn't really matter because if you don't run 4.41 when you're doing actual football stuff, like
Okay. Well, we appreciate that context. It's great to hear that. And by now, most of you probably already heard of Reality Sports Online, the powerful fantasy sports platform where owners get to build and manage their fantasy team like an NFL general manager. But the question is, have you tried it yet? It's time to go see what all the buzz is about in the Dynasty community: free agency, multi-year contracts, a rookie draft, multi-team trades, franchise tags, contract extensions, first-round rookie options, automated contract, and salary cap functionality, and much, much more. If you think it sounds complicated, it's really not. The best thing about Reality Sports Online fantasy front office is that it does not take any more time than a standard league. It just requires a bit more strategy. If you think you're among the fantasy elite, then this is the platform to test your mettle. Still not sure? Well, test out your GM skills for free in a mock free agency auction. If you like what you see, use the promo code FANTASYPROS to receive a 10% discount on your team or league today. Again, that's promo code FANTASYPROS to receive a 10% discount on your team or league today. Fantasy just got real at realitysportsonline.com. All right, Brett, we're back to you for your next sleeper of the 2025 NFL Draft. Potentially a diamond in the rough coming from Lane Kiffin's offense. Who you got?
The other Ole Miss receiver, Jordan Watkins. He's the smallest of the three. People think that means he was the slot for them. He was not. He did most of his snaps outside because he's really, really good at it. Again, he was another one of these guys that popped at the combine for me, watching everybody go through the drills. And I'm like, God, this guy is great. Like, he's explosive and smooth. Not everybody is both. Most receivers are one or the other. He's both.
Yeah.
Great route runner, great hands. Again, battled against these giants outside corners in the SEC and did just fine, even though he's a smaller frame. He's like 5'11", 200, I think is what he weighed in at. Great contested catcher too. Like, he attacks the ball in the air. Like, I love him. There's really nothing he doesn't do well, which is what confused me because I don't see him anywhere, talked about anywhere at all. Like, everybody focuses on the rest of the Ole Miss team. And he might be like the 10th Ole Miss player drafted, but he's not the 10th best Ole Miss player. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, very interesting player who I think definitely went under the radar for most of the season because Trey Harris was out there potentially going to break the SEC all-time single season reception record before he got hurt. But I can remember that Arkansas game specifically where the guy took 8 receptions, 254 yards, 5 touchdowns, and everyone's like, holy cow, Jordan Watkins actually could be a guy. Goes out, runs a blazing 4.37 second 40-yard dash as well. D-Bro, I know friend of the show, Brett Whitefield, also very high on Watkins. Are you joining Brett in that stance, or have you not dove too much into Watkins tape yet?
I'll unfortunately have to take the TBD. He is on my list to watch this week, but I mean, dude, so like a lot of times before I get to the film on these guys, you just kind of like, I'll pull open the analytical profiles and I'm like, just to kind of get a sense or sometimes I'll do it the inverse, but with Watkins, he's one of the guys, again, like I'm getting to the second and third tier, fourth tier, however we have these ordered, but like these guys where it's like, okay, they kind of pop on paper, like, yeah, dude, like Watkins, there's a lot to like here before I even get to the film, man. Like 2.54 yards per route run last year. He also has over 6 yards after catch per reception, can break some tackles. Like, wow. There's a lot to like about this kid, man. So while I haven't gotten to the film, so TBD on that, but as far as the analytical side of it, Yeah, again, like another guy that we're talking about a lot of wide receivers, and I'm going to go back to this. I'm higher on this wide receiver class than most people are.
Mm-hmm.
Brett, I know, we've kind of talked about this. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I mean, I think you're kind of in the same boat, right?
Yeah, I think it gets unfairly maligned because it's compared to 2024.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Not every year is going to be like that. And it doesn't mean there's not good players in this class. Like, I think, honestly, if last year was probably the year to get like a true number one, this year is the year of the number two. Like, there are so many starting caliber receivers in this class.
Yep.
Doesn't mean that they're all going to be top 10 to 15 players at their position in the league. In fact, I'm not even sure if maybe there's like one or two guys in this class where you could see that happening, right?
Maybe,
where they could get into that, like that Nico Collins territory.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, there's like 20 guys in this class that I could be like, yeah, they're going to be starters and role players and productive. And, in a few years, because the receiver market's going up by so much, they're going to make $20 million a year.
Yeah.
But like, it doesn't mean that it's a bad class. It just means that, okay, there's not Rome and Malik and Marvin and BTJ like all in the same cluster. Like, it's fine. It's still good.
Last thing I'll say on Watkins too is like, just be aware. I feel like sometimes these Ole Miss wide receivers, their production profile, it gets pushed up a little bit just because, I mean, we know what Lane Kiffin likes to do, man. He wants to run and gun it all over the field. And, sometimes you get great wide receivers out of this program. Other times you get Elijah Moore. So just something to be aware of there. Derek Brown, take us back to the running back position with your next sleeper, please.
Dude, I love this kid. I'm so curious. Like right now in my rankings, I have him ranked, I guess I could say aggressively versus consensus as a top 10 running back in this class.
Wow.
I got him at RB9. But so where his draft capital falls, and I think that this is just a lot, like the overarching theme of every running back that is not named Ashton Genty and Amarion Hampton, we don't know where they're going to go, what that's going to look like with this class, with the depth of this running back class. And are these guys going to go in second and third round? Do they get pushed down to the third and the fourth round? So the draft capital part of this is still TBD. And then there's a wide range, especially when we're discussing a running back for Brashard Smith coming out of SMU, only played the position full time in one season.
Yep.
But man, I really like this kid. Like dude, I mean, some of it is like there's a lot of this type of running back archetype in this class. These guys where they're slasher backs, win with speed, lateral agility, vision, a ton of guys. And I like a lot of them in this class that are in that 190, like above 190 range, but sub 200. And the great thing and part of what my process and the reason I want to highlight a few of them in this episode is the NFL is telling us very loudly over the last few seasons that the archetype of the workhorse back is changing. We've had Devon Achane, we have Kyron Williams, we have Austin Eckler, we have Bucky Irving, just to name a few, Jahmyr Gibbs, that are sub 200-pound backs. And the NFL said, we don't give a shit. We're going to give these guys work because they're good. So I'm not knocking any of these guys in this category because of their size, because the NFL is loudly telling us, if we choose to listen, that's an old trope. It's changing. So I'm not going to tell you that Brashard Smith, knowing what we know about his skill set, his familiarity with the position and stuff, that there's not a higher ceiling that maybe he can grasp if the draft capital, and it only takes one freaking team to fall in love with him, that if they do, and he goes in, say, round 3 of the NFL draft, because this kid has legit pass game weapon ability. And for everybody that's coming into this late, like Brett talked about, like a lot of people are just now waking up to the rookie class. This guy was a slot wide receiver at the U, transferred to SMU for his final season at running back, went out and proved that he can handle volume and still had the chops to be a really damn good receiver out of the backfield, like second in receiving grade amongst all FBS running backs, at least 20 targets last year.
Wow.
22nd in yards per route run. He was in the slot or out wide on almost 15% of his snaps. So, and he can run a multitude of routes because, again, he has a real wide receiver background. So he can do all of that, man. Like, and he showed that he can handle volume. Like we're talking about, again, final year at SMU, 9 games where he had 16 or more carries. And some of those, he got high-end carries, like above 20, above 24 carries in a game. So proving also that he's not only like went out and tested really great, 4.39 speed, and it shows up. Like I thought he had low 4.4 speed on his tape. And that's how he's going to have to win, man. Like, I really like Brashard Smith. I hope he gets the draft capital, but this is a player that I think that from the word go in the NFL, he can be the predominant pass catching weapon out of the backfield. Now his pass protection, most of these guys come out of college, pass protection, they just don't spend a lot of time on it in college.
Sure.
They don't ask like that. That's not.
He was good at like 3.4% pressure rate allowed in pass pro for a guy who was a receiver a year ago.
Great.
Like that's good.
That's good. And I think he get better with that.
He can return too. Like
yes.
You're telling me a coaching staff isn't going to fall in love with a former receiver converted to running back who can pass protect and return kicks at like 27 yards a clip? Like he's going to get drafted somewhere in like the third, fourth round. Like he just will.
If you were to tell me he goes out in his rookie season and he has 70 targets, I'm not going to I'm not going to be surprised if he catches 50 balls in his rookie season. Like depending on where he goes.
If he goes to Denver, how many catches is he thinking?
I mean, if he goes to Denver with draft capital, and this is also, are we assuming that they don't go running back round one, Brett? Like maybe
let's say they get sniped. Let's say they get sniped for Amarian, right? Okay. And then they shift to like, okay, we'll do one day two. And they take Brashard in like third round.
Then it's like, probably a committee situation. He's probably catching 50.
And is he immediately, like, let's talk Dynasty for a second. As far as Dynasty running backs, him in Denver is RB what for you in Dynasty? Oh, dude. 6? 5-ish?
I mean, I've got him at RB9 right now. I'm willing to push him higher. Yeah, like, I mean, he is in a long tier 3 right now that I have RJ Harvey, DJ Giddens, Bashal Tootin, and Devin Nealon. And depending on where they go in the NFL draft, the draft capital and the landing spots.
Whichever one goes to Denver gets RB6.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm willing to pump any of them up. I'm willing to send them up the board. Just go. I'm not.
He's on a lot of top 30 visits for him. We're going to talk more about that on our live stream later today, D-Bro. But this guy's been getting a lot of interest in teams for that top 30 visit, so maybe he does move up boards. Brett, any additional thoughts here on Brashard Smith? The one thing I just always found interesting about him is that he just felt like such a guy that when SMU was struggling, like that 6 turnover game against Duke, where it felt like their whole season was about to go out the window, Kevin Jennings turning over the ball left and right, receivers dropping the ball. Brashard Smith, he was like the one stable force in that entire offense, a guy you could lean on there to get that win against the Blue Devils, specifically on that day.
You can just count on him, right? And he had the kind of year that made me think, like, why wasn't he a running back the whole time?
Yeah.
Right.
Mario
like Tyrone Tracy. Like Tyrone Tracy last year, who I loved. He's coming out. And I was like, why did they not do this earlier? Like, what the hell, Purdue?
Yeah.
And I almost wonder, it's like if he got converted to running back at the U earlier and he's playing, at the U, let's just take the Damian Martinez of it all out of it, right? If he was like the starting running back at the U this year in a Cam Ward offense. Is he not the most productive running back in at least the ACC, if not all of college football? Well, okay, let's take Ashton Genty out of it too. How about that? But he would have been right up there with Amarian for me, as far as like production.
People would be talking about him and discussing him in a very, very different light. I mean, we were texting last night about just helmet scouting, dude. Like, again, take this profile, and he doesn't go to SMU. But he goes to an SEC school. He goes to Bama. He goes to LSU. He goes to Florida. Like, take this profile and drop it into a helmet college.
Dude, he was started at Georgia.
I mean,
he would have started at Georgia. He would have started at Bama.
I don't disagree.
Yeah. Real quick, I did want to remind everyone about our Dynasty Rookie Draft Simulator that lets you complete a mock draft in minutes with no waiting in between picks. You can customize your league settings to match your league's exact format. And also, if you're a premium subscriber, you can test trade scenarios by mocking with your trade draft picks. Prepare for your rookie drafts and Dynasty startup drafts all in one place. Use the Dynasty Rookie Draft Simulator to dominate your rookie draft today at fantasypros.com/simulator. D-Bro, let's stick with you for your next sleeper, another running back, this time coming from a former FCS program.
Same flavor, different cup of coffee, baby. I got to bring up Marcus Yarns. I keep talking about
I knew
him,
it.
keep talking about him, keep freaking talking about him. And I'm just hoping one NFL team is listening and just really, I'm hoping again, it only takes one. I want one NFL team to love this freaking kid as much as I do, man. Like, again, the talent plays. He is in the same exact category as Brashard Smith in terms of the archetype, that 190 sub 200 pound, has a legit pass game weapon, can run routes out of the backfield. And I mean, again, we're talking about discussing that archetype. Marcus Yarns, 13 to 19% of his snaps over the last 2 years in the slot or out wide. They had him running whips. They had him running ins, outs, wheels, everything. Like, again, another player that I think the NFL team that takes him is going to know exactly what the hell they're getting, that he is going to be their passing down back from day one amongst all FBS and FCS running backs, at least 20 targets or more over the last 2 years, 18th and 9th in yards per route run, as well as this guy, he's underrated on early downs. I look at him in that I mean, my comp for him, and I want people to realize this based off of this player has had an evolution to his game in the NFL level. I want people to be kind of rewind and remind themselves of what they thought of this player as a prospect. I just look at Marcus Yarns and I see a lot of James Cook, dude. I really love his game.
Wow.
I think he's underrated on early downs. I think he's a better tackle breaker than he gets credit for. And while I think he goes into the NFL and he is going to be looked at as a pass game specialist, I think he also, much like Brashard Smith, if we go back to this episode in 3 years and we're saying, okay, Yarns fell into a situation, injuries, all that kind of stuff, and he's a team's workhorse, dude, I'm not going to be surprised.
Brett, how do you evaluate someone like Marcus Yarns? Because it is a tough evaluation when you're coming out of an FCS program. Delaware, of course, in their final season in the CAA before they're making the jump to the FBS and Conference USA starting in 2025. And like I looked at Yarns for potential fastest 40 time for the running back position. And I turned on his tape after you mentioned him a couple months ago, Debra. I was like, man, this guy can really fly. But it's tough to compare him when he's running up against guys who are probably, as we speak, selling insurance right now.
And that's the double-edged sword, right? Because Debra, I'm sure you watched the long touchdown against Albany, right?
Yep.
Where he put just the nastiest move.
I mean, dude, that guy's still trying to figure out where his head's at. Like,
it was gorgeous. And then he accelerated and ran away from everybody. You're like, man, he's got juice. And then you're like, but it was Albany. So like that's the one thing. And he's gonna be like the classic, get him into camp and just see what happens, right? Because if it works, it's Austin Eckler. And if it doesn't work, he's just going to be another one of these day 3 running backs. You take a flyer on, it doesn't work out, and you're like, whatever, it's a 6th-round pick.
Yeah.
But like, if it works, it's Austin Eckler. Because he's very similar build. I think he's a little bit lighter than Eckler was, especially after Eckler got in the league and he bulked up.
Mm-hmm.
But there was like the similar concerns with him of like, let's see what it looks like against NFL talent. And then Austin, started dumpstering everybody in the NFL, and they're like, oh, okay, we're good. Like, you never really know until you get to camp.
Yeah. Brett, let's go ahead and let's transition to your next sleeper, a transfer receiver who I know all too well, being a Penn State fan, and this guy being a former Penn State Nittany Lion. What do you got?
Okay. If you're a Penn State fan, answer me this question. KeAndre Lambert-Smith, starting receiver at Penn State in 2024. Do they win the Natty?
Not if he played like he did in 2022 or 2021 or 2023.
The 2024 version of KeAndre Lambert-Smith. If the 2024 version of starting receiver at Penn State.
They at least beat Notre Dame. I'll tell you that. I don't know if they win a Natty, but they get to the championship. Yes.
Yeah, maybe they lose to Ohio State.
Yeah.
In the championship. But I'll tell you what, they wouldn't have been scared of Ohio State. Because they would have matched up pretty well with them. And the one glaring omission that Penn State had on their roster this year was an ex-receiver that could catch the ball.
Yeah.
And that's what he is. Like, he is an excellent contested catcher. I think he's an acrobat outside. He adjusted to some really painful looking balls down the field and made spectacular catches. I think he is a true X receiver. Doesn't necessarily mean number one, because just because you're an X doesn't mean you're the number one. You can, you can have your number one be your Z or your slot, and then you just have a guy who plays X. And I think that's what he is. Like, he is a number 2 X receiver, but he's got legit field stretching ability. Almost never drops the ball ever. He makes your quarterback right if you just put it into his zip code. I think he's a little bit stiff, but if I just need a guy to line up on the line of scrimmage and run goes, posts, slants, and comebacks, like, that's my guy. And I was watching him and I'm like, what went wrong at Penn State? Because this is a good player. And Penn State literally did not have any outside receivers this year. So I'm like, okay, what am I missing? Like, I don't know. I haven't actually watched 2023 from him, but I just looked at 2024 and I was like, that's a starting receiver in the NFL. To me.
I think part of it is Penn State's never really been great developing offensive talent prior to this season. Before Andy Kotelnicki came to town, like, that guy changed our whole offense. And like, I'm just so upset with this season for Lambert-Smith because, as you mentioned, terrible quarterback play. Like, Peyton Thorne, absolutely terrible. Then Hank Brown comes in one game, throws like 3 interceptions. He gets back to the pine. So, like, it's been a tough go for him. And, like, Derek, I think what was really impressive about Lambert-Smith is he did this all while sharing the field with 5-star freshman wide receiver and top 10 recruit in the 2024 class, Cam Kollmann, who I'm sure we'll be talking about him in about 2 years from now.
Yeah, man. I mean, again, going back to, there's a lot of wide receivers that the hate that this class, well, there might not be, true alpha wide receiver ones in this class, and we can debate that for days. There are a ton of really solid, sturdy wide receivers that are going to have long, productive NFL careers. Like,
right.
There's a litany, and he's in that. A litany of guys where you ain't got to squint hard to see, like, oh, he's been in the league for 6 to 8 years, and he gives you a consistent 500 to 700 receiving yards every damn year, and he's a strong wide receiver 3,
Yeah.
That's fine.
Brett, let's go ahead and stay with you for your final sleeper. You have a running back coming out of the Big 12. Who you got?
My guy, RJ Harvey. D-Bro, do you think there is any shot RJ Harvey gets out of the 3rd round?
Hell no. Not unless all 32 teams have to fall asleep for him to drop into the 4th. Like, if he drops into the 4th round of the NFL draft, that some NFL GM is going to look like an absolute freaking genius. I'm going to say that.
I mean, I don't even care that the Eagles have Saquon. Like, if he's there,
I was about to say that's that's a Howie move right there.
Say no,
dude.
Yeah,
just
like oh my god, he is just, he's unbelievable with some of the stuff that he does as far as change of direction. Like, he's got these jump cuts that look like he's teleporting, right? And by the way, has legit long speed to pay it off once he does break the 2nd level. Like, his missed tackles forced per attempt was up there in this class, like one of the highest. I'll have to look at the exact number. People knock him for his size and everything like that, but like, for me, a small running back that is hard to get your hands around in the first place is just as good as a big running back that you can hit, but he's going to run over you. Like, a missed tackle is a missed tackle. He makes you miss tackles with agility and vision and patience and burst, and you just don't get a good angle on him. Like, you never get a good angle on him because his feet are so good. And if you miss, like, he is gone. So I love RJ Harvey. I think he's one of the best running backs in this class. If he gets out of round 3, I'm wondering, like, is he going to prison for tax evasion or something? Because, like, it wouldn't make sense for me.
Dude, if he was, we talked about this last night, and I'm just going to bring the text chain into the show here. If he was 22 or 21 years old, and he went to a bigger college, he'd be in round 2. He'd be a round 2 pick. And I've said it on this show, and I'm going to echo this again. I don't freaking care that he's 24 years old. That does not matter to me, and it really shouldn't matter to anybody. I mean, NFL running backs, if you get the 2nd contract, if the guy is going to be, somebody we're talking about, then obviously he gets the 2nd contract. He's freaking #good, okay? And the NFL is like, where it was used to be churn and burn. You're seeing the NFL again changing up how they want to approach things. you're seeing all these running backs that are older getting second contracts, that are getting extensions by teams because they're still freaking good, man. Like RJ Harvey is such a good player, man. And it's not, again, going back to the size too. And this goes back to the film and the analytical profiles where it's like, okay, I don't care if you're 5'9", 205, 210.
Yep.
If you run bigger than that, because if you have the leg drive, the finishing power, you run pissed off to where you're finishing and you're getting some of these dessert yards. Like it's not the main meat and potatoes of the play, but you're getting the 2 yards after it. Like it doesn't matter that you're 205. If you run like you're 215, you 225, that doesn't matter to me because there's plenty of guys that are out there, the Braylon Allens of the world, that are huge and they don't run like it. So it's not just about your size and your build. RJ Harvey, Brett, I don't know if you finalized your pre-NFL draft ranks. I mean, I've said it from the very beginning. He is my RB5, and he is a top 5 running back in this class.
Yeah,
he'll probably even be up for debate.
He'll probably end up at 5 for me as well.
Okay.
If I had to get, obviously Genty's 1, Amarian's 2.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then there's just like this amorphous blob of like 6 guys where you're like, it depends on what flavor you want.
Yep.
But like he had a lower stuff rate than Ashton Genty. Like he had twice the point of attack percentage or point of attack change percentage rate of Ashton Genty, meaning like how often he gets the point of attack and then has to like make a move to attack something else.
Yeah.
He was at like over 14%. Marcus Yarns, by the way, 3%. So it's like Marcus Yarns is getting to the hole and he's getting stuffed or he's going through that hole. Whereas RJ Harvey is like, it's almost Le'Veon Bell-ish where he will try to find whatever little gap he can. He'll slither, he'll slide, he'll do these crazy jump cuts. Like he's not just gonna, run behind his guard and hope for the best. Like he is going to do work to find the little crack of daylight. And again, if you're talking about a guy who gets stuffed less than Ashton Genty, who never gets stuffed, like that's crazy to me.
Well, and Harvey led the Big 12 in rushing touchdowns, 22 of them this season. Also top 3 in the conference in rushing yards back-to-back years. And I think that's very impressive because of 2 things. One, UCF, they were just making their move to Power 4 play. They were a G5 program before that. And in addition to that, in 2023, when they like kind of put Alabama on notice in the first half of that game, everyone was like, oh, who's this RJ Harvey guy? And they knew besides RJ Harvey and the mobile quarterback, like that was their entire game. They did not have a downfield presence at UCF. So, it was like the spotlight was on him and he continued to make moves and continued to make plays after initial contact there. So I like the spot on RJ Harvey there. And then Debro, go ahead and round us out with your final sleeper of the 2025 NFL draft, please.
Dude, I wish this guy wasn't coming out in such a stacked running back class.
Yeah.
I wish that Tahj Brooks came out in last year's class because I know he's going to go lower than he should, considering the talent and stuff like that. Like, he's going to go somewhere on day 3. And again, when you were talking about a lot of, like, whether you're looking at rankings or things like that, like, you're not going to see Tahj Brooks ranked inside of everybody's top 10, top 12 at the position. This kid can freaking play, though, man. He reminds me, when I watch Tahj Brooks, he reminded me so much of Dameon Pierce, another player that I loved when he came out, man. Like, thickly built, underrated in the passing game. And I know people are going to look at his pass game numbers and the analytics and yards per route run and stuff like that.
Yeah, not great, yeah.
You turn on the film, this kid is a good receiver out of the backfield. He's got some spots where, I mean, I'm watching film and he runs up the seam and grabs a one-hander over his freaking shoulder and he's like showing you ball tracking, better build-up speed than people would give him credit for, and the utility. I really like Tahj Brooks, man, as a player that, like, do you want to put him in an offense where you're going to ask him, like, you don't want him running outside zone. You don't want him trying to gain the edge on every single play. But
right.
You stick him in a gap scheme, you put him in inside zone, even depending on how you want to sit here and design your run game, one cut and go, or just get downfield. He no nonsense, ain't playing around, can be a 3-down running back for you from day one. Pass protects his ass off. Like, I can make you a really good narrative that Tahj Brooks is in that, like, top 3, top 4 as far as pass protectors at the running back position in this class, as well as, like, in the archetype of running back that he is, he's a volume guy, can chew up volume. He's a build-up speed type of guy. The fact that he did what he did in his final season in college behind Texas Tech's just doo-doo butter offensive line, like they were 52nd in run blocking grade, and you see so many plays where it's like people that don't know what they're watching will be like, oh, he's got vision issues. Bro, there's so many running plays where if it wasn't Tahj Brooks back there making something out of nothing, it would have been a 2-yard loss, a 3-yard loss, him stuffed at the damn line. But Tahj Brooks turns something into nothing so consistently. He's not going to go high in the draft, but a player that if you were to tell me injuries happen and he ends up walking away in his rookie season with a Tyler Algier type of rookie season, he goes for 1,000 yards, or he has the Damian Pierce type of rookie season, I won't be shocked. I will not be shocked at all, dude.
Brett, have you looked at Brooks at all? I mean, just a true workhorse guy, nearly 600 carries over the past 2 seasons, 3,000 rushing yards, 27 touchdowns in that span for Texas Tech.
Yeah, he's the running back that keeps you on schedule, right? It's not about getting the explosive plays with him. It's about rescuing you from bad plays.
Okay.
And it's pretty easy to kill a drive if you're in 2nd and 13. It's a lot harder to kill a drive if you're in 2nd and 8.
Yeah.
It's still going to look like 2 yards on the box score, but it's like it could have been -3. And I think that's really why he's going to be successful as an early down back in the NFL, because A, he's going to keep you on schedule, and B, he also has 3rd down flexibility specifically as a pass protector. He's one of the best blocking backs in this entire draft. Locker room leader, like he is off the charts as far as like character and work ethic, 2-time captain, academic All-American.
Oh, wow.
So like you throw all these things together and you're like, all right, we have an early down running back who's going to consistently get us to 3rd and manageable. And when we're on 3rd and manageable, like we can leave him one-on-one against, some like a Zach Bond type linebacker that's normally going to chew up running backs. Like we think he can survive the maelstrom of violence that is Zach Bond. And then we're going to pick up the 1st down. He's going to keep us right back on schedule again. Like I think he is the quintessential like 4th round running back in this class. Like if I just need a guy who I know is going to be good, know is going to be a contributor, and like never cause me a headache ever as a GM, I'm taking Tahj Brooks.
Okay.
Right now, if I'm 2 teams jump to mind right now, if they don't want to spend like top 3 round capital on the running back position, and they're like, we're going to put the room together with multiple running backs. If I'm the Raiders and I want to go out and I want to address corner, I want to address these other positions, I'm looking at Tahj Brooks in round 4. Also the Steelers, dude. You want to sit here and team somebody with Jaylen Warren, and you want to sit here and have 2 guys that can play off each other's skill sets, and you want to take the discount Najee and make him the early down guy, and we're going to give him 12 to 14 carries a freaking game, and we're addressing other positions on this team first. Have at it. Love it.
Can I throw a couple at you?
Yeah.
Oh, please do.
Cowboys.
Yes.
Sure. I mean, he's soaring up ranks if he goes to the Cowboys, man. Javante's there.
He's going to get the work
much out there. Yeah, exactly.
He's going to get the
Chargers.
Work.
Texas guy.
And I would also say Saints.
Yes.
Saints, right? Because Alvin's getting up there. Like I was never really a Kendrick guy anyway.
No,
agreed.
Like if the Saints is like a 4th round pick, I think that could work. Because then also like he lets you just use Alvin sparingly to get the last vestiges of what made Kamara great for his last couple of years. Like you have Tahj Brooks take a lot of the punishment, which is what he does well. And then it's like, all right, we need a big play. Like bring in the closer. Like that's Alvin.
Yep. He's the guy that if you, again, to your point, Brett, if you want to play 21 and you want to go 2 wide and stuff and play condensed formations, like, you could do it.
Dude, you can play fullback. I don't care. He's 215. You can play fullback. You can do it.
You got temperament, man. You just got to have the temperament to sit here and just clear the road. That's it.
Or he'll just go to the Rams and we'll see how many clones of KeAndre Williams.
Oh my God. That was the other team that I forgot, man. Like put him in the scheme where they get downhill, power and duo for days.
Come on,
like,
don't do that.
They're going to have
Corum,
4 of them.
Yeah,
they're all going to get 10 carries a game.
Yeah.
Guys, great stuff today, Brett. Thanks so much for joining us, man. Can you please let us know how we can all best support and find your work throughout the remainder of the NFL draft process here?
Yeah, so I have a couple things coming out on my channel. I have a Jade Barron video, which I know is you play corner. So unless you are an IDP sicko, it doesn't really matter as much to you. But I have a Jade Barron video coming out on my channel pretty soon. And then over on the Bootleg Football podcast, we have content that comes out every single week. We do prospect interviews. We have Matt Miller coming on this week to talk about like some of the enigmas in this class, including Tedero McMillan. We do live streams during every single day of the draft. We are live for every single pick. So there's like 18 hours of live streams if you need an alternate broadcast. Because maybe the TV one pisses you off for whatever reason. Come over to the Bootleg Football podcast because we are sickos that watch every single pick with no commercial breaks for 3 straight days.
We are a very big proponent and supporter of Bootleg and everything y'all do. I mean, IE, we got you on, Brett, and EJ is stopping by next week, baby.
Oh, let's go. I didn't even know that.
Awesome. Well, that's going to do it for us today on the Fantasy Pros NFL Draft Show. Thank you so much for watching. We will be back next week with our most polarizing prospects. Debro and I will also be live on the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel each Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern time, leading up to the NFL Draft, taking your questions. Again, please like this video if you enjoyed it. Also, subscribe to the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel and the podcast feed. For Derek Brown and Brett Kollmann, I'm Seth Woolcock. Take care, y'all.
Thanks for listening to the Fantasy Pros Dynasty Football Podcast. If you love the show, the best free way to support us is by leaving a positive review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Follow us on X, Instagram, and TikTok at Fantasy Pros, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/fantasypros.